Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I'm Reverend Cece Coltrane. I'd like to welcome you to Center for Spiritual Living, Greater Dayton. If this is your first time here, a special welcome to you. Thanks for spending your morning with us. Giving our reading and invocation this morning will be Lana Mayhew, and our vigil holder is Stephanie Stewart. Our interfaith candle lighting will be done by Lana Mayhew and Lenza Smith. We do the interfaith candle lighting as a reminder of the many sources of wisdom that are available to us from all of the world's religious traditions, and how much they tell us the same things, all of them. So we'll have that one in just a minute. For right now, let's see. Carol Huseman is with our little ones. And who's with the teens? Jan is with the teens. So if you kids will just all go gather up with Carol, I'm going to do a quick little blessing and you will be off for your fun day. Look at them all. This is so beautiful. Look at those beautiful children. Yay! The teens have already sneaked to the back, I see. All right. So this is just an illustration of our affirmative prayer, and we're doing it for the kids as much as for us as much as the kids. So just join me for a moment to know that there is only one. That one is God. That one that created all that exists and manifests itself in and through all things and all people. So that each one of these beautiful children is a place where God shows up. And each one of these beautiful teachers is a place God shows up. And so what I know for them today is freedom and joy, love and harmony, excitement, life itself, health, abundance, well-being, and all good things, as they live from their hearts into the heart of God. And for this I am so grateful, for knowing it, for seeing it, for all of these beautiful beings. And in gratitude, I simply release it, I let it go, I let it be. And so it is. Have a wonderful day, y'all. We have a song now called All the World is One.
Is led to honor Judaism. Our God, the great, the mighty, and the awesome God. You are gracious and compassionate, God who keeps loving kindness and in your great compassion does not forsake. The second candle is lit to honor Christianity. Finally, all of you live in harmony with one another. Be sympathetic, love as brothers, be compassionate and humble. The third candle is lit to honor Buddhism. Love and compassion are necessities, not luxuries. Without them, humanity cannot survive. The fourth candle is lit to honor Hinduism. It is easy enough to be friendly to one's friends, but to befriend the one who regards himself as your enemy is the quintessence of true religion. The other is mere business. The fifth candle is lit to honor Islam. We have the ability to forgive, to understand, and to comfort one another. Compassion is the essence of who we are. It is the best part of us, the quality that makes us worthy of the mercy of Allah. Our love is an elemental force, a vast, untapped potential. We only have to be who Allah created us to be. If we can aspire to that and hew to it, it will suffice us and the earth itself. The sixth candle is lit to honor Baha'i. It is your duty to be exceedingly kind to every human being and to wish him well, to work for the upliftment of society until ye change the world of man into the world of God. The final candle is lit to honor Taoism. Regard your neighbor's gain as your gain, and your neighbor's loss as your own loss. The reading today is by Dr. Tom Sinar. We are doing the divine business in all of our activities. We have all the resources we need. We must claim this partnership as our own, accept the counsel of our silent partner, and realize that all we create through this partnership always results in more good. It is the action of spirit creating things out of itself, by itself, becoming the thing that it makes. So if you can just take these words into that inner sanctuary for a few minutes of contemplation. So I'm knowing that God is the only power in this universe. It is that power of love and light and passion and beauty that is all-encompassing. It's in and through all of life. There is absolutely no way to be separate from this magnificent power. It is interwoven through the tapestry of our own soul. It is that very love and energy that has created us out of that divine power. And so I know that this service is absolutely a divine orchestration. We are here by divine appointment, that there is this love and beauty that we walk into in this community, and we feel that, we feel alive and in that love and light and beauty as great transformation continues to unfold itself within each and every one of us. And so I know that there's divine guidance and wisdom and clarity for Reverend Cece, the band, and all of the children. Every single person in this building is absolutely blessed. And I say, thank you, God. And together we say, and so it is. Amen.
That was ominous. So your bulletin says that the name of the talk today is "It's All About Me," but it's really not. It's not really what I'm going to talk about. It's September. I can hardly believe it. I thought it was December over the weekend, frankly. I could not believe that surprise weather. But it's September, and so we change our monthly theme, and this. We're exploring through the whole year our shared values. And so the theme for September is community service. It's service to others. Our organization, Centers for Spiritual Living, has a vision statement and a values statement. And part of that statement is this: we dedicate our time, talent, treasure, and expertise to the healthy and joyful evolution of our spiritual community, the community in which we live, and the greater community of the world. That's the fleshing out of this value that we share of sacred service. And that's a huge statement. It basically says that we are giving ourselves fully to the evolution of the world, starting right here and in this community, and not stopping there, but going out into the world. That's a huge statement, actually, that we will apply ourselves to the joyful and healthy evolution of the world. I think that means that we have to find ways of developing in ourselves what I call a heart of service. We're raised up according to social constructs that sort of teach us to do just the opposite, right? Rather than having a heart of service, but rather to look out for number one. I was always told, nobody's gonna look out for you. You have to do it, or things like that. And in the context of our society of competition, competitiveness, isolation, I think that leads to a pretty self-obsessed worldview. It really was all about me growing up. I was taught to make sure my needs were met first, and to look out for and save up for and keep at bay all those seemingly negative occurrences like retirement or rainy days or illness or whatever those kinds of things were. So So for me, it's sometimes hard to live from an orientation of service because I have all these little mind worms from the past that say things like, if you went back to practicing law, you could make a lot more money. I'd be miserable, but whatever. Or people expect you to take care of their needs, not ask them to help you with your needs, which is why I sometimes do things that would be so much easier if I were to ask someone to help me. What a concept. Here's my favorite. I get this one. I'm a tither. 10% of my income comes here, and another 5% goes other places in the world. And I sometimes have this mind worm that says, if you quit tithing, you could travel. As if I would give up the one thing that has given me freedom over my fear of money, right? My economic insecurity. I have 100 of these little mind worms that come up, and I picked them up from the media or from my teachers or from my parents and other confused adults. Well-meaning, but confused. It's part of our cultural ambience. But also part of our cultural ambience is the spiritual wisdom of the ages, right? And all the world religions tell us, if you want to be happy, serve others. If you want to be happy, serve. The Buddha said, if you light a lamp for somebody, it will light your path as well. Christianity, let us seek not our own good, but the good of our neighbors. Jainism, rendering help to one another is the function of all human beings. That's why we're here. Islam, the best people are those who are useful to others. It goes on and on and on. Name a religion and I can find a quote that tells us that. Because every single spiritual tradition teaches us that serving others is the way to heaven, happiness, fulfillment, whatever you want to call it. And our society will sneer at that sometimes, call us do-gooders, or sneer at the fact that we look to spiritual wisdom for that context. But I think we all know better. I think we know that living from generosity and service is the best way to do it. We know that because we know that love is the greatest power in the universe. And we hold those truths right alongside the facts and circumstances of our lives. Those truths are actually what let us get through the facts and circumstances with some grace and some ease and some peace. So one of our spiritual practices and disciplines is remembering how important service is and developing our ability to serve from the right place, the right state. For Centers for Spiritual Living and the people that come here into our services, our centers around the world, service is a way of practicing our most fundamental teaching, that there's only one. That there's, as Dan sang, all the world is one. That there's only one life that we all share in, and we're so intertwined and so interwoven that there's no separate you and me. There's this universal whole that we're all part of. And I think that's where a heart of service begins. It's just remembering that when I help someone else, quote unquote, I'm serving the whole, and that helps me. The actions of a heart of service, the actions and words come from a recognition of that oneness, that service to life. We're not serving someone else. And to get to that place, we have work to do in our own minds. Or maybe it's just me, I don't know. But it seems like we have work to do in our own minds to be able to come from that place regularly. Because I forget many times every single day that there's only one of us. I know it sounds contradictory to talk about oneness and then talk about what we do in our own minds, but the earth plane, living here, requires an individualized body-mind, right? It's part of the package. It's part of what we do. And we've taken that fact to convince us that we are separate, alone, apart. We don't touch each other. Dan was singing about me earlier when he said, you can build a moat. You can do all these things to try and keep yourself separate. And, I do sometimes. But the world is one. And you can only forget that for so long if you're willing to let yourself be reminded. We take it to believe that this body and this mind is separate from every other body and mind, but not only spirituality, but science teaches us otherwise. I think another line from the song is that we all came from the same source, right? You can call it the Big Bang, you can call it anything you want, but everything that has ever existed arose from the same moment, the same movement, the same event in consciousness that produced everything. And we learn from science that consciousness, the ground of everything, is a unity. You can't really divide it up, and my consciousness influences your consciousness. You can feel that walking into a room. You can tell what mood someone's in long before you speak to them, right? Because consciousness is a unity, and it's the ground of everything. We learn all that stuff, but we still look at our own bodies and say, yep, this is me and that's you. And we're separate. But through spiritual practice, I think we come to a balance point where we understand that, there is a unity and a balance between consciousness and physicality, between the finite and the infinite, between spirit and form, between me as a separate individual and we as part of the whole. It's through that spiritual practice that we begin to find the holy that's within us, and then we serve the holy that's in the other, quote unquote. Joseph Goldsmith was a mystic and a teacher and a writer, and he said there's a reward that comes in the feeling of having served one's fellows or having served God in service to one's fellows. But we're apt to forget that the service we perform for each other is not really for each other at all. In serving each other, we are serving God, by whatever name you care to call that, or however you think about that greater being. And it makes no difference whether we're supporting our family or contributing to the Red Cross. We are not doing it unto human beings. We are doing it unto the Christ, the anointed holy self of their being. You're only serving in the manner of the Christ when you understand that any service you give to your fellow man is really your devotion to the whole, made manifest in the least of these my brethren. I love that. That is a heart of service. It is remembering that the anointed holy self in me is serving the anointed holy self in you. And if we fail to remember that, if we fail to develop this ability to serve from a heart of service, then we serve from a place of ego and reward, and things go wrong. Have you ever experienced that? Ooh, I have. I have. We make the wrong choices, or the person we're helping just resents us, or we wind up taking the blame when something goes wrong, or we feel burned out or used up. I can't tell you how many times I've insisted on what I thought was right, and it wasn't what the person I was serving wanted or needed. Or insisted on what I thought was good without listening to and incorporating what everybody else thought was good too. It backfires every time. It backfires when we come from this place of ego. And I think that in the beginning, most of us serve from ego because we mistranslate all the messages. We hear about serving others, and we serve so other people will think we're a good person. Or we serve so we think we're a good person. Or we serve so we can chalk up brownie points somewhere. But those motivations have, I think, some pretty serious side effects. I read some work that was done at the University of Manitoba in Canada. And one thing really I thought was interesting. The example they used was the Tenderloin district in San Francisco. And she said, as an example, if your only connection with the Tenderloin is through donating money to a clean needles clinic, you will wind up thinking that the entire neighborhood is made up of heroin users. And that stereotype leads to judgment. And that judgment causes you to pull away your compassion from the people in the neighborhood. We get separation instead of unity. When people empathize with a disadvantaged community over a long period of time without watching their own consciousness, their negative stereotypes get confirmed. That's not what service is supposed to do, is it? In the same research, there was an examination of some charities that helped local communities but took away their autonomy to be self-sufficient. For example, Clean Wells. There's a nonprofit that creates clean wells but doesn't teach the local community how to maintain those wells. So if there's a break, the nonprofit has to schedule and make the fixes. Well, that's not service because it retains that whole power divide, that whole power divide between the advantaged and the disadvantaged. It's ego power, not service. And this doesn't come from a heart of service. You know, doing service from ego can lead us into these paternalistic kind of, here, I'll help you. We lean down instead of heart to heart, soul to soul, divine to divine. We feel better than the person we're helping. And that makes us less compassionate and less empathetic. But when we remember that all the world is one, and the heart and soul of me serves the heart and soul in the other person, we are absolutely equal. We are doing whatever we're doing out of an act of love, not an act of ego. And we serve because there are no others. There's only one. And my right arm needs help, so my left arm will give it, right? This cell in my body is ill, and so this cell in my body, which may look like you, will help it. And we wind up being served in that process because there is only one. There is only one. And that, I think, is what the spiritual sages of the world have been telling us forever. Do good from this place of sacred holiness within you, and do good too for the sacred holiness in the other. So this heart of service really is all about me and all about you. It's about my consciousness. It's about your consciousness. We create that heart of service through what we do in our own consciousness. We create that heart of service by staying centered in love, focusing on the divine in ourselves and others. I found this lovely reading from Khalil Gibran the other day. It's about working with the heart of service, which is appropriate for Labor Day, but it's also appropriate for service. It's long. I only have 2 short parts of it. What is it to work with love? It is to weave the cloth with threads drawn from your own heart, even if as your beloved were to wear that cloth. It is to build a house with affection, even as if your beloved were to dwell in that house. It is to sow seeds with tenderness and reap the harvest with joy, even as if your beloved were to eat the fruit. It is to charge all things you fashion with the breath of your own spirit. Work is love made visible. And if you cannot work with love, but only with distaste, it is better you should leave your work and sit at the gate of the temple and take alms from those who work with joy. If you bake bread with indifference, you bake a bitter bread that feeds but half a man's hunger. If you grudge the crushing of the grapes, your grudge distills a poison in the wine. And if you sing, though as angels, and love not the singing, you muffle man's ears to the voices of the day and the voices of the night. I love that. It tells me that when we approach everything we do with a heart of service, with a heart that remembers there's only one of us, what we create is fashioned with the breath of our own spirits. It is love made visible, and it feeds the whole person. It doesn't feed just part of it, and it lets people hear those voices of life. And the vision I hold for this community is that each one of us becomes so filled with that heart of service that we become dispensing stations for good wherever we go. And it's not good out of our own pockets I'm talking about, as if there were such a thing. There's only one of us, that's impossible. It's the good of the universe. And it's dispensed by each of us because we love. Because we see the good in each other, we see the sacred in each other, and that in us calls to that in the other. That we each become so luminous and loving that the people around us just sort of sit up and take note and wonder how we got to be that way. That we give people by permission, by the way we live our own lives, to shine and to be all that they came here to be. That we love that much. And we learn to do that through the things we practice together here, through our spiritual practices and our spiritual disciplines, generosity with our time, with our money, with our work. You know, when you sign up to do service here, what you're doing is serving the love that grows here. And when you give money here, what you're doing is giving to the love that transforms here. When you love the people who sit around you, what you're doing is changing 3 sets of lives. You change your life, you change the life of the person you love, and you change the lives of everyone who watches that happen. I would say that's a pretty darn good place to start, wouldn't you? So developing this heart of service and a dedication to living from it is what this month is going to be about. And we're going to talk about, you know, the things that stand in our way from doing that, and the things that let us become more of that. And right now I have the mic and I'm about to pass it. So who has something they want to say? Angie.
Hi, I'm Angie, and I am one of the board members.
She's the president.
And I just want to say thank you to Reverend Cece for her service in this community. I don't think a lot of you know, but she couldn't cash her check this week because there wasn't enough funds. And she will not tell anybody that because she doesn't like to talk about money, so I'll do it. This community provides for me, and I think for a lot of us, a spiritual home. You're all my spiritual family. When I come in, I know Claire is going to give me a hug. I know I'm going to have euchre night with my friends from here. I know that Reverend Cece, if I call her in the middle of the night, she's going to answer my phone call and be there for me. I know that with my own family, I can't talk about things that I talk about here. And with you, I can, and that gives me freedom. I know with my Community First family, we build each other up. I know with A Course in Miracles on Thursday, we have aha moments, we share love. But all this costs money. So I know it's been, I'm really nervous, sorry. I know that this has been a hard summer for a lot of people, but if you could just remember that it does take money and do it in love, just remember that then we have each other and we can support each other. Thank you.
I would say that you challenge me. This community challenges me to change. Yesterday I was at work, I was hanging out at the bar, and I'm pretty comical, at least I think that I am, and I was making, just some jokes, and I realized in those jokes that I was being judgmental. My little brother, well, he was probably drunk, but he said, you're just talking about everybody. And I checked myself, because that's not who I want to be. That's not who I am becoming. And I did a reading yesterday and it said, this is the time is now to be who you are called to be. Not those, like you said, those mind worms, not those things that were put into you. I come from a very judgmental place. And so it's a challenge. My sister and I, who lives in Cincinnati, we are challenged and we challenge each other to be better. So I like to say this. I have 5 children. I have a husband. You may or may not know that about me. And so money is always a thing. It's always a thing because my kids always need something. The bills always have to be paid, you know, those things. And I want to say that when you walk into a place and it's not about tithing and it's not about offering and it's not about money and it's not about what you can put in, but what we can truly give. And so to know that you stood up here today with that, what we are taught is a burden, with a family. I told you this wasn't what you should be doing. I told you if you were doing this, this could be better. To stand up and still teach us to be compassionate and loving and giving and serve in your situation. I just want to say to everyone that the infinite universe, the oneness of God will provide those things. And I know for a fact that when you walked into this door today, one of you, God told you to give and you are scared to death. And if it was me, I would write the check, but it's not. I'm going to do my best. But it is someone in here that God has called to do the work. And I just encourage you to do the work. And I can stand here with you and say that when you do the work, when you do what you are called to do, God changes things for you. And I don't know where she is, but Miss Beverly, I believe is her name. Miss Becky. She taught me 3 weeks ago, when you do what you were called to do, then the infinite God can meet you where he is. And she spoke to me because she is following her calling and she changed my life. And when Miss Clara followed what she was supposed to do, she brought me here. So I take this time to say, as always, you are doing an incredible job, Reverend CC, and we will come together in our oneness and we will prevent that from happening because that is our job. That is not your job because you serve us abundantly well. Thank you.
I think I wanted to share one thing, is that when we step out in service, who it is that I'm serving is not somebody in lack. Who I am serving is the soul of God, who may have forgotten, who may have been working through stuff, but when I'm serving, that's what I want to see. That's the face. I want to serve that joy, because I don't want to look at somebody and see the lack. I remember that one line that Ernest Holmes says to his practitioner, "Where is my practitioner? Because I see somebody who is sick." And I'm like, when I'm in that space of service, if I'm resenting it, then I'm not really serving. So I have to really make sure that I can be in a space that who it is that I'm looking at is my companion, is my equal, is one with me. And when somebody serves me, that's what I want. I don't want somebody to look at me and say, "Oh man, this chick needs help." You know, I really, it's like, thank you, no thank you, I'll see you later. You know, what I want is if you serve me, see who I am. Serve that. Serve the beauty of my being, because then I get to radiate that back to you. And so that's what in doing this, and in the money and in the tithing, I like, what am I serving? You know, I'm not serving our lack. I'm serving the beauty, and that's what matters to me. So thanks.
Just one quick little thing. When you tend to serve out of duty or responsibility or any kind of have to, you can feel exhausted and depleted and burned out. But when you serve from love, as you're giving out, it is pouring into you faster than you can ever give it out. You are so energized, you are so filled up, you are so filled with love that there is no energy depletion. There's only happiness. So, and at any time you say, I have to do this, or I've got to go do this, stop yourself and go, no, I would love to do this, and let that love flow into you so it can pour out to everyone else.
Thank you, Kathy. That's why we take that little moment at the offering to get grateful. Because when we give from gratitude, we're inviting more. You know, we're saying, hey, this is good, but more will be acceptable. You know what I mean? It's all good, because there's good in my life. So before I close us in prayer, I want to ask you for one more piece of service, and that is just to hold my dear brother-in-law, Larry, in wholeness and wellness. He has developed this habit of like hurting himself real bad. He came into the Cincinnati airport for the long weekend and fell down and wound up with a fractured skull and 3 broken ribs and a punctured lung. He tripped over his own feet. I mean, it was a very serious thing. So he's in Miami Valley Hospital. So just lift him up a little in your hearts today and know that Larry is whole and healthy and healed and back to riding his bike and skiing downhill like a madman. And let's just remember right now this one truth that we stand on, that is the very foundation of everything. That there's only one, there is one life. It encompasses everything in creation. It encompasses the entirety of the universe. It is the stuff of life, yes, the atoms and the molecules, but it is also that intelligence, that wisdom, that consciousness that holds them together in just the perfect position so that the electrons stay in their cloud and the molecules bond together in such perfect ways to create these miraculous things we walk around in, these bodies. And yet it is also the glue that holds the sun in its place and the planets in their orbit around it at just the right distance that we may thrive on this planet. It is miraculous, it is vast, it is eternal and infinite, and yet it is infinitesimal at the same time. It is the power of life. It is the consciousness of the divine. It is that one that gives rise to us all. And it is right where I am. It is right where you are. It is right where each one of us is, expressing itself joyfully, learning more about what it means to be in form by means of each one of us. So that right where we are, that peace and love and joy and infinite intelligence and creativity is, as the Sufis say, it is closer than our heart, their jugular vein, closer than our breath, closer than our beating hearts. And I know that we can lean into that in those times when we don't feel like serving from a heart of service and love. We can lean into it and remember that what we are serving is that thing called capital L life, that key thing called capital L love, that thing called spirit or God or whatever name you choose to call it. And I know that as we do that, we become those luminous beings who radiate love and oneness and compassion and joy and the light of life, so that those that we serve recognize in our eyes themselves as they were meant to be, themselves in all of their amazing glory, themselves as manifestations of that one. And knowing this, I simply give thanks. I give thanks for this community and the beautiful, beautiful people who are part of it. I give thanks for this community and all that happens here that truly, truly changes lives and minds and hearts. I give thanks for this amazing adventure called life that we walk through together, holding each other up, loving each other through, celebrating with each other the joy. How amazing that is. And so from this place of deep gratitude, I just let it all go, knowing that spirit of the universe, that law of the universe has already said yes, it's already done. And so we let it be. And we say together, and so it is.
just a thread, a simple thread in this glorious web of life.
We are all just drops within a stream, flowing towards an ocean of light.
We may forget where we come from. We may forget where we're going to. I might not see that you're a reflection of me as much as I'm a reflection of you. I'm just a seed, a blessed seed with eternity unfolding in me. And I pray that as I grow, I will reveal the love that illuminates my soul. When I remember where I come from, when I remember where I'm going to, then I will see that you're a reflection of me as much as I'm a reflection of you. This is my simple prayer. May I become a reflection of the infinite one. This is my simple prayer. May I become a reflection of the infinite one. This is my simple prayer. May I become a reflection of the infinite one. This is my simple prayer. May I become a reflection of the infinite one.
Amen. And we now have an opportunity to give from that heart of service and love. And as we give from the divine within us to the divine in each other, we support the community and ourselves and all that happens here. So I invite you to just take a minute and count all the things that are in your life that are good. You have a home. You have friends. You have family. You have a job. Whatever it is. You have pets who love you and that you love. You have life, breath, this amazing thing called a body. There's so much to be grateful for. And just feel that gratitude. And I want to add my gratitude for this place and this community that is, this light that is Center for Spiritual Living, Greater Dayton. And from that gratitude, I invite you to take your gift in your hands, or if you give electronically as I do, in your consciousness and in your heart. And know with me, I am joyful. I am free. I am grateful. I give with gratitude. And I say yes. To all the good life has to offer. And so it is. Good song. So I have a couple of things to tell you about. The first is that On your bulletin cover, there's a little tear-off strip. If you're new or if your information has changed at all, please use it to let us know how to stay in touch with you. You can just take it over to the Welcome Center at the end of service and put it there. We don't sell anyone's email or abuse anyone's email. We just use it in case we need to get in touch with you. We have a couple of fall classes coming up on this flyer that's kind of the big purple thing in the middle. Foundations will be on Tuesday evenings starting a week from this Tuesday, September 12th. And also after that, starting on September 25th, is meditation. It's More Than You Think. And the meditation class is really wonderful. It gives you a taste of a whole bunch of different kinds of meditation and helps you get a practice of your own established. Sign-up sheets for both of these classes are over on the bulletin board, and please sign up if you intend to take one or the other so we can prepare the class materials for you. Also in your bulletin, is on the other side of that flyer, is a little notice of my old friend Terry McBride, who is coming back into town on September 24th. He'll be speaking at Sunday service, and then he'll offer his workshop that evening from 5 to 8. Terry's a kind of an amazing guy. Years ago, he had a very serious illness and was lying in a hospital bed and figured out for himself a lot of the same principles we teach and put them to work on his own body, and it's pretty amazing what happened. So he has a lot of insight, a lot of information to give you on September 24th. And if you are male, take a look at this blue flyer here. The Columbus Center for Spiritual Living is inviting you to its men's retreat, which is called Awakening the Power of Your Soul, September 15th and 16th. It's up in Columbus. The guys who are putting it on are great. If you need a little getaway with no women, that would be a great place to go to get it. There are a few other things coming up. The hike and the stargazing trip and the bonfire. And you can also take a look at the calendar page of your bulletin if you want to know about all the things that are coming up. There's a whole lot happening. It's that time of year where we start to come back from vacation and get together with each other. Yes, Teresa?
I just want to, the yard work group, whoever's here and wants to join, I had to move it from yesterday because it was raining, and we're going to get together tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock if anybody's interested.
Okay, the people who take care of our grounds, they moved it from yesterday since it was freezing cold and raining to tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock. Just show up with a hand tool or a shovel if you've got one, some gloves, and help spruce up the place. Thank you, Teresa. So if you'd like a prayer for any reason after service, you can talk to any one of the women wearing the white or teal stoles. They will be happy to find or Becky, she forgot her stole, to find a quiet place with you. And what they're trained and experienced in doing is seeing the spiritual truth even when you can't. And so that their gift to you on Sunday is a 1-minute miracle of prayer. You can also put a written prayer request in the chest on the way out the door, and we'll pick it up after service. So with that, first 3 minutes after service, talk to somebody you don't know well. Go up and say, "Hi, I'm so-and-so," and ask them what their name is and start a conversation. And don't forget to get at least 10 hugs before you leave. They're good for you. Have a great Labor Day weekend, and thanks to everybody who's here today who made this service possible. So let's stand and do our closing affirmation and our closing song, which is Stand. Today I choose to see the sacred in myself.
Today I choose to see the sacred in myself.
I choose to see the sacred in others.
I choose to see the sacred in others.
I let my heart of service lead the way.
I let my heart of service lead the way.
In everything I do.
In everything I do.
And so it is.
And so it is.
Have a great week, everybody.
One.